Detachment is one of the most misunderstood yet most powerful forces in attraction. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you become cold or emotionless. It means you no longer allow your happiness to depend on someone else's attention or approval. When you stop chasing, something shifts in the energy between you and her. She senses it. She feels that change because the moment you stop trying to win her, she starts to wonder what changed within you. What happened to the man who used to overthink, to message first, to explain himself endlessly? Now, there's silence, there's calm, there's peace, and that calmness is magnetic. Women are drawn to men who stand firm in who they are, not men who try to be liked. When you detach, you remove yourself from the emotional chaos of needing her validation. You step into a higher state of being where your worth is no longer negotiable. You're not proving yourself, you're simply being yourself. That's when she begins to notice your absence, not as silence, but as strength. She starts to replay your composure, your patience, the way you didn't react when she tried to test you. It unsettles her in a way she can't explain because deep down, attraction is about polarity. When you chase, you're moving toward her energy. But when you pull back, you create space, and space creates desire. That space is what allows her to feel curiosity again. She starts asking questions in her mind. Did he move on? Did he stop caring? Was I never that important? Those questions are the spark that reignites her interest, and all of it begins when you detach, not as a tactic, but as a lifestyle. Detachment means you choose peace over reaction. You choose purpose over attention. It's about recognizing that no matter how much you feel for her, your emotions don't control your actions. When she pushes, you don't pull harder. When she's distant, you don't beg for closeness. You give her what she wanted, space. But that space becomes your power because now instead of chasing someone who's uncertain, you're channeling that energy into your goals, your fitness, your discipline, your growth. And women feel that transformation without you needing to say a word. This kind of quiet detachment is not about playing games, it's about self respect. It's about understanding that you can care deeply without losing your self control. You can feel love but not lose your dignity. You can miss her but still not move an inch if she doesn't meet you halfway. That's the balance most men never learn, and that's why detachment becomes the key that turns the whole dynamic around. Because once you detach, you stop needing her to see your worth, and ironically, that's when she finally does. The day you stop chasing her approval is the day she starts chasing your energy, and that's the power of true stoic detachment. It doesn't make you colder, it makes you stronger. Confidence in silence is one of the most powerful and misunderstood forms of attraction. It's not about ignoring her, and it's not about being arrogant. It's about mastering the art of restraint. When you can be silent without feeling anxious, when you can walk away from constant communication and not feel the need to explain yourself, you show her something rare: control. Most men panic when there's silence. They rush to fill the space with words, apologies, or validation. But the man who can stay calm in that silence sends a different message. I'm not afraid of losing you. That kind of quiet strength is what makes her stop and rethink everything she thought she knew about you. You see, women are intuitive. They can sense when your silence comes from weakness or when it comes from power. Weak silence feels like punishment. It's bitter. It's forced. It's meant to provoke a reaction. But strong silence is calm, composed, peaceful. It says, I'm good either way. When you reach that level of composure, your energy becomes impossible to ignore. She starts to notice your absence, not because you're missing, but because you're no longer trying. She feels the difference. And suddenly, the man who once seemed predictable now feels mysterious again. This kind of confidence isn't loud, it doesn't demand attention. It attracts it naturally. When you stop over explaining, when you stop seeking reassurance, you reclaim your value. Every word you choose not to say becomes more powerful than 1,000 texts. She begins to wonder what's going on in your mind. She starts to crave your attention, not because you're withholding it, but because you've stopped giving it freely. That reversal of dynamic is where attraction quietly rebuilds itself. The truth is, a man who is comfortable in silence is a man who has mastered himself. He's no longer a slave to reaction, to emotion, to insecurity. He listens more, observes more, and acts with purpose. And that kind of emotional discipline is magnetic. It makes her feel safe yet challenged, calm yet curious. She may call you distant or even cold, but deep down, she respects that control because it's something she wishes she could have within herself. The mistake most men make is thinking they need to prove something. They try to explain, to convince, to argue, but when you step back and allow silence to do the talking, you reveal something stronger than any argument. Emotional control, that's the kind of energy that makes her start chasing your attention again because now she realizes your silence isn't emptiness, it's peace. It's a reminder that you're not waiting around to be chosen, you're choosing yourself. Confidence in silence is not about avoiding communication. It's about mastering it. It's knowing when words add value and when they weaken your presence. And when you understand that balance, you stop chasing validation and start commanding respect. Because in the end, real confidence doesn't shout, it's quiet, steady, and deeply powerful. Emotional control is the foundation of true masculine strength. When a man learns to control his emotions instead of being controlled by them, he becomes someone rare, someone grounded, composed, and unshakable. Most men today react to everything: a delayed text, a cold response, a shift in her tone. They spiral into overthinking, frustration, or panic. But a man who has mastered emotional control doesn't flinch. He observes, he breathes, and he responds only when necessary. That calmness is not indifference, it's discipline. It's the quiet understanding that his worth is not defined by anyone else's behavior. When you can control your emotions, you stop giving power away. Think about it. Every time you react impulsively to her mood or her actions, you hand her the steering wheel. But when you maintain composure, she starts to notice something different. She realizes that her emotional shifts don't sway you anymore, or that her silence doesn't make you chase, and that her distance doesn't make you desperate. That shift in dynamic makes her curious. She begins to see you as someone who stands firm, someone she can't easily manipulate or read, and that mystery reignites her attraction. Emotional control isn't about pretending not to care, it's about caring in a measured, confident way. You can love her deeply, but still be okay if she walks away. You can value her presence, but not fear her absence. This mindset changes everything. It puts you in a position of strength because now your emotions serve you rather than sabotage you. A man who can remain calm in emotional storms is a man who earns respect effortlessly. Women admire that steadiness because it makes them feel secure and intrigued at the same time. You also have to remember emotional control isn't just for relationships, it's a life principle. When you learn to master it, everything improves: your work, your health, your focus, your decision making. You stop being reactive and start being proactive. You don't chase temporary highs, you pursue long term growth. And ironically, that kind of self mastery makes you more attractive without even trying. Because now you're not just a man with emotions, you're a man with purpose. When you stop reacting to every emotional wave she feels it, she notices your silence isn't empty but full of confidence. She starts wondering why you're not affected, why you're not chasing. That curiosity becomes your motivation to reconnect. She wants your validation again, not because you're giving it freely, but because you've shown that you can live without it. That's when the power dynamic completely reverses. She begins to value you, respect you, and most importantly, miss you. Emotional control doesn't make you emotionless, it makes you powerful. Because once you stop letting your feelings dictate your actions, you start leading your life with clarity and purpose. And that's when everything, including her, starts chasing your calm, not your chaos. Detachment is one of the most powerful skills a man can ever develop, especially when it comes to relationships. It doesn't mean you stop caring, it means you stop clinging. It means you can love deeply, appreciate fully, and still walk away peacefully when respect, peace, or alignment are missing. Most men lose their power because they attach their sense of worth to a woman's attention or approval. They think if she pulls away, it's because they weren't enough. But detachment teaches you the opposite. Your value doesn't decrease when someone fails to see it. True detachment is understanding that you don't need to hold onto anything that's meant for you because what's real will stay without being forced. When you master detachment, you stop chasing validation. You no longer need her to tell you that you matter. You already know you do. And that energy, that quiet, confident certainty is magnetic. It's the reason she suddenly starts noticing what she lost when you stop trying so hard. Because detachment creates space. When you pull your energy back, she feels it. When you stop reacting to her inconsistency, she starts questioning her own behavior. When you stop fighting for her attention, she begins to crave yours again. It's ironic, but it's human nature. People often only realize your importance when you stop making them your priority. Detachment also brings peace. It frees you from emotional chaos and mental overthinking. You're no longer anxiously checking your phone or decoding every message. Instead, you focus on your life, your growth, your mission, your peace. And that focus naturally shifts the dynamic because while she's wondering why you've become so calm, you're already evolving into someone who doesn't need her to feel complete. That kind of independence is rare, and it's what makes you stand out. Women are drawn to men who can love them but don't depend on them. They want to feel chosen, not needed. And detachment allows you to love from strength, not weakness. The beauty of detachment is that it's not about indifference, it's about emotional maturity. You can care, but you don't have to chase. You can miss her, but you don't have to beg. You can want her, But you don't have to lose yourself trying to keep her. It's a balance between connection and control, knowing when to give and when to step back. And once you learn that balance, you become impossible to manipulate because now your peace is not negotiable. The truth is, detachment isn't about losing interest, it's about gaining clarity. It's realizing that your happiness doesn't depend on how someone else feels about you, it comes from how deeply you respect yourself. And when you operate from that space, she will feel it. She'll feel your strength, your calmness, and your self assurance. That's when she starts to miss you, not because you disappeared, but because you became the kind of man who doesn't need to be chased to be valued. Confidence is not about arrogance, showing off, or trying to prove something. It's about knowing your worth in silence. It's about walking into every situation with the mindset that nothing outside of you defines you. When it comes to women, this kind of confidence changes everything. Because while words might attract her for a moment, energy is what holds her attention long term. A man who is grounded, calm, and sure of himself creates an emotional gravity that words alone can't replicate. He doesn't chase approval, he attracts respect. And that's the difference between men who get temporary attention and men who are genuinely desired. Confidence is built through action, not appearance. It's not about how you look, but about what you do when no one's watching, when you keep your promises, push through discomfort, and choose discipline over distraction. You build inner strength. That strength shows up in your tone, your body language, your patience. It's the reason some men don't have to say much. Their presence speaks for them. Women can sense when a man knows who he is. It's in how he handles rejection, how he doesn't flinch under pressure, and how he can walk away when something doesn't serve him. That quiet composure is magnetic, and it's exactly what makes her curious again after she's taken you for granted. When a woman realizes that you're no longer desperate for her attention, she starts to question why. When she sees that you're focused on your goals, your purpose, your peace, something shifts. The power dynamic changes. She begins to see you as a man with direction, not dependency. And deep down, that's what she truly desires. Confidence reminds her that you're not afraid of losing her because you trust that you'll be okay with or without her. That's the kind of energy that draws her back. Not neediness, but certainty. But confidence also means emotional control. It's not just about how strong you are physically or mentally, it's about how well you manage your emotions. You don't react to every test, every mixed signal, or every moment of silence. You understand that patience is strength, not weakness. You know that walking away is not a loss, but a declaration of self respect. And this emotional steadiness is what sets you apart because most men break under emotional pressure. They overthink, overreact, and overreach. But the confident man doesn't chase, he observes, he decides, and he moves on with peace. Confidence also inspires growth. When you start believing in yourself, you stop settling for less. You choose better company, higher goals, and deeper purpose. And ironically, that's when life, and often the woman who doubted you, starts chasing you. Because true confidence doesn't come from external validation, it comes from mastering yourself. When she sees that kind of man, she can't help but feel drawn back, not because you tried to impress her, but because you became the man she can't forget. Detachment is the final and most powerful step in regaining her interest, yet it's the hardest one for most men to truly master because detachment isn't about pretending not to care. It's about genuinely realizing that your peace of mind matters more than her validation. It's the ability to walk away, not out of spite, but out of self respect. When you reach that state, something profound happens. She feels your absence, not just your silence. She starts to sense the emotional space you've created, and in that space, her mind begins to replay everything she took for granted. See, women are not drawn to men who beg for attention or constantly seek reassurance. They are drawn to men who have the courage to let go, men who can love deeply but never lose themselves in the process. Detachment communicates strength. It tells her, I care, but I won't chase what isn't mine. That calm confidence shakes her on a subconscious level because it shows her that your life doesn't revolve around her approval. You're not emotionally dependent. You're focused, steady, and content within yourself. And ironically, that's when she starts to chase again. When you become detached, you stop reacting to her mixed signals, her games, her silence. You stop overanalyzing every text or lack thereof. Instead, you redirect that energy into something productive, your health, your purpose, your personal growth. That shift changes your entire vibration. Suddenly, you move differently, you speak with more conviction, you radiate peace instead of neediness, and that's when she feels something she didn't expect. Your absence becomes louder than your presence ever was. Detachment doesn't mean you shut down emotionally or build walls. It means you develop boundaries that protect your self worth. You understand that love should never cost you your dignity, so you no longer chase people who walk away and you no longer tolerate being an option. You choose peace over chaos, clarity over confusion. That's the essence of Stoic strength, the ability to stay calm when emotions are storming around you, to hold your ground when others expect you to break. And here's the beautiful part: when she finally realizes you're no longer affected, that's when regret sets in, because she'll see that the man who once sought her attention has now become the man who values himself above all else. She'll feel your detachment not as coldness, but as mystery, and mystery always pulls attention. You no longer chase, you attract. You no longer explain, you inspire curiosity. That's the moment she starts wondering what went wrong, why she lost your energy, and if she can ever get it back. In the end, detachment isn't about making her miss you, it's about finding peace within yourself. And ironically, when you stop needing her, she starts needing you. When you stop chasing, she starts searching. That's the quiet power of detachment. It turns loss into strength and silence into the loudest statement you could ever make.